So hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk a bit about my project Swarm, and I would like to put it in a bit of a general context of why it matters in the kind of looking at the bigger picture of technology, and would like to in a historical context and point out some of the expected social impacts of what we're trying to do. So Swarm started as a project within the Ethereum ecosystem. It was part of the original Ethereum vision as part of the vision of the world computer, which is was based on the idea that the blockchain itself is bringing security on a global scale, and that therefore it can serve as the CPU of this world computer. The idea being that the world computer is a computation environment or operating system for the new decentralized web. And in order to provide a proper computational environment, you don't only need the CPU, but you need like the analog of the hard disk and analog of messaging and communication component. And therefore it was envisioned that Swarm is the hard disk, is the storage component, and it was the original messaging component. However, Swarm's vision grew since then quite a bit, and we extended our scope to provide basically future-proof infrastructure for self-sovereign global digital society. What does this all mean? It means that from this basically from this narrow scope of decentralized storage, and Swarm grew to fill this niche and realize the mainly by extending the blockchain with the components that provide a global running and execution and deployment environment for web applications in general. And so we want to provide a infrastructure which is scalable, stable, and most of all economically self-sustaining. So maybe a bit of a recap. Of the innovations in the space would be needed. So what happened when first Bitcoin came? It brought a big change, basically provide a decentralized consensus, and this changed everything, because first of all it became possible to coordinate action and provide a single source of truth. It was previously not possible, sort of monopoly of force standing behind the single source of truth. And then came Ethereum with the innovation that you realized that it's not only some simple database and simple calculations that you can provide decentralized consensus to, but you can actually put the whole virtual machine and the Turing computation and have decentralized consensus on the state of a very complex system with complex state and arbitrarily complex state transitions. So Ethereum really generalized this idea, and we believe that Swarm finally brings and closes this circle by providing the necessary components to make this mobile computation environment like an operating system to the web. So in Swarm, we really want to provide a backend to Web3 and build up from really basic API primitives, build up the web stack that allows application developers to develop and deploy web applications. And since the web now serves quite important part of the this has major impact in mobile activity, and therefore important to think about this development. So what motivated originally the vision that Web3 the original vision of Web3, it was basically the realization that with Web2 there was a lot of problems with the web as it basically even if you consider publication only as a kind of slice of activities on the web, even then you feel that people were kind of forced in with bargain, forced in deal, in the sense that compared to the web one era when you self-hosted your content, and therefore you had to deal with the scalability issues of hosting. There can be companies which scalable and therefore alleviated the pain of deploying and maintaining your servers that were needed to content. But this came with a problem, because it led to platforms and data silos which now contribute to the fragmentation of the web and is to collect data and have a lot of impact on who can access and who can publish and on the web. And basically a lot of cases of deplatformed content creators testify to this problem very day. So censorship resistance, or maybe a bit more diplomatic term, permissionless publishing is required feature that Web3 and this paradigm must provide. In general, we can talk about not only publication, but since this web application not only selling information but serve as a backend to major economic transactions of a lot of data and value. We can think of the service that it provides is a kind of permissionless access to digital infrastructure in general, and that includes all kinds of computational tasks, and not only necessarily consuming information. A few words about how Swarm is trying to attack this problem, because Swarm is often this in the context of decentralized story. mainly because that's how it originated, and it's really a whole lot more than that, because as I said, we provide the communication component, which is the underlying storage solution. So what sets Swarm apart from similar projects, for example, IPFS and then some others, or even BitTorrent, is the disk model. That's lies at the heart of it. So the disk model stands for distributed immutable storage of chunks. It's basically a distributed store of fixed sized data, and which is based on a distributed network of serving as a storage nodes, and difference is that while VIKTOR and the others use the distributed hash table and the lookup mechanism to look up data about the whereabouts of the source of found. So basically, VIKTOR and track will give you information about where you can download the file from. In Swarm, you actually store the information, the very information, in the locality of the network that corresponds to the address of the piece of data. So basically, all the addresses are in the same address spaces as the pieces of data, and when this local storage interpretation of the DHT has important consequences on the workings of the network. Namely, it has the consequence that when you upload something to Swarm, that constitutes a genuine upload to cloud storage, as opposed to the other systems, which are more like based on a file sharing paradigm. That means that when you open up your hard disk for usage, you basically just commit that whatever is on your hard disk is available for others. When someone is interested in that, they become seeders themselves. However, there's no genuine distribution and upload. In Swarm, you have upload and disappear, which means that the content is genuinely uploaded to Swarm, and all the chunks of your content travel to the network where they are retrieved and found according to, as I explained before. The other important difference is that Swarm uses for its routing kind of relayed pattern. So basically, it uses nodes to forward requests, and therefore has very strong privacy properties. So because of the ambiguity of where requests origin, it kind of implements a mixed net type of anonymity, and supports anonymous browsing and anonymous. And based on this system, we also have a very strong value proposition protocol, which uses this fact that when you upload certain data on a Swarm, the data travels from one part of the network to the other. It uses chunk data as basically a disguise and allows for completely untraceable, we call it zero-week communication, which is with end-to-end encryption, private and anonymous based on the ambiguity of the forwarding, but also in a way does not leak that a message is sent. So it allows completely dark communication protocol, and that's a very strong value proposition. I don't know currently any system which has a strong protocol. So most importantly, the incentivization is what ultimately holds the system together. We're very careful in designing tips so that basically every protocol behavior of the client nodes is supported by the incentives in a way that's aligned with the incentives, in the sense that it's either costly or outright fatal and detrimental to any friend to depart, to diverge from the protocol, and we incentivize the nodes to bandwidth and to optimize the resource allocation, so allocation of disk space and bandwidth. So now I talk a little bit about why I think this makes a big difference, and why this is the next stage of technological innovation, which is relevant in the current digital age. So I call this approach open resource because I want to compare it or juxtapose it to the open source movement. So open source already proved that the way you collaborate can have a revolutionary effect on the outcome. So basically, open source allowed for software code to leverage a whole global community of developers to contribute their fixes and their features to code, and ultimately this paradigm contributed to major improvements in security, stability, and feature set of software applications. However, and also the tools that made it possible to have version control, different versions, and resubmit changes to the code's original made a huge role and a huge impact in so Git itself has a huge role to play in making this happen. However, even if you can modify code and fork open source code, it's difficult to actually make sure that your code can, or even if you make a modification to an application, it's ever going to be used, because it's still in the hands of usually separate entities to take care of deploying and run the applications. With this model of the internet in general, Swarm being the web stack for the Web3. It's this situation changes quite radically, because it's not only code that you can fork, but actually you can fork the application itself. The very platform that hosts the code and hosts the assets that are referred in the code, so both data and code hosted in the same environment that actually of using the incentives, the burden of running and maintaining an application and scaling it, most importantly, is shifted. The burden of this is shifted to the user. And that slight, subtle economic difference makes a world of a difference in terms of its potential. This potential, because now it means that businesses that develop or improve or the existing code can basically they don't have to put up upfront capital investment, and they are not forced to have even necessarily or in any other way do financial prognosis, and therefore the barrier of entry for these businesses is radically reduced. I kind of argue that this seemingly mundane difference in basically open up the infrastructure resources and having permission and where the cost is borne by the users makes a big difference in the dynamics of how applications are developed. I argue that by doing this, basically both the feedback loop between the application's users and the developers is accelerated, as well as testing and basically testing and quality assurance becomes also more readily available, and as I said, scaling costs and the running cost of that do not burden of the change. It also impacts the deployment environment. Also impacts from one application to the other. This also relates to the which is the sovereignty of personal data. This paradigm suits much better the approach where applications like that want to use this personal data, kind of ask permissions and just access the data otherwise under the person's control. So instead of data silos, you would have personal data vaults, and almost like in your mobile application, you give or in OS app, you basically give permission to an app to access your data, and together with with this kind of paradigm of zero data apps and the paradigm of open. Basically, I predict that the last bottleneck last bottleneck for truly application development is until then, and therefore I predict that we're going to see a Cambrian explosion of new apps based on the Web3 primitives and Web3 paradigm, and also a corresponding improvement in the usability and in the of certain productivity applications. It also has the promise to bring a new era of interoperability, because all the code that's necessary to finally deploy an application is going to be within the same system, and it's enforcing the standardization of API or encourages and incentivizes the standardization of APIs across applications, in the sense that the blockchain does already, but also including other components like the messaging, like storage and in general data manipulation. What maybe I also want to say is that Swarm and this the blockchain, as I said before, to complete the view of the worst computer. So in other ways helps scaling blockchains in two ways. Basically, first directly the current infrastructure can be helped by putting the Ethereum state and the improving the way Ethereum nodes do syncing, or directly serve light nodes, basically act as lights, which provide the pieces according to the light client protocol, and thirdly also to provide an API for decentralized explorer. So let's not forget that it's a bit still weird that we use the centralized explorers to look at our transactions on the Ethereum blockchains. It's not necessary if Swarm is used properly to host this data, and this will be provided as the backend to decentralized explorers. And on the other hand, Swarm makes it possible to provide the secure communication and data transfer layers for off-chain computation. So I predict that instead of sharding, another paradigm is going to emerge, which is TrueBit and other kind of provable off-chain computation solutions, basically that allows arbitrary virtualization or arbitrary basically packaging which parts of a computation are done by individual nodes and in an off-chain verified manner, and which parts get into a full consensus and they actually have a direct execution in the blockchain by all nodes. And with this, I predict that if this this becomes kind of smooth to provide basically infinitely scalable computation, infinitely scalable data. I mean, infinite to the network size, but in a sense, it's not constrained by any other so by providing this framework to do scalable computation and having the possibility of private and untraceable communication, I believe that this will bring kind of this will bring a new consensus as well, which I would like to call kind of bottom-up consensus, in which the default use of the computation would be kind of extra requirements for consensus, and edit verification would escalate certain bits of computation to consensual status, exactly to the extent to which the consensus is required. Yeah. So, for example, not every Facebook would need to go through the blockchain consensus. However, the need for a global consensus of escalating these calculations to global consensus status. So basically, by linking up, say, your personal demographic data that is verifiable from your personal history, together with your usage or Facebook like, and as a consequence, you can also capitalize on this provable data connections, and make your participate in the service data fund for your personal benefit as well. So I think I stop here and up for questions.
Yeah, so I hope you are able to hear. Is it so?
Oh?
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Perfect. Let me quickly ask the people in the room if they have any questions. There's one. So just a second. Hi.
Definitely. Could you some capacity would provide as an infrastructure layer?
I have real trouble hearing you guys. Can you repeat the
Can you maybe repeat your question? Like,
can you repeat the question, Joseph?
So if you know about different compared to the.
could you hear it now?
Yes, I can. I know about Definity. I'm not.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not completely privy into their tech itself, so I don't know how solid their proposition is. But if what they say is true, then they truly realize something in the same spirit as SWAN. So I think their proposition is very close, and if it's all what to claim. They quite far ahead with realizing this. So let's hope that this paradigm has some backing from various sides. So it seems to be very interesting in its approach and in its thinking about the internet computer, I think.
Minutes, I also wanted to ask, what would you recommend? Diving deep into sport.
So I can't hear anything. It's completely breaking up.
The question was, what would be the first thing to?
I heard only half of what you said, but I guess you said like what would be the first thing that you should try out. So Swarm is now as seriously far ahead with, which is obviously a release where the script-based system is using the Ethereum mainnet. So it's using BAS tokens on the Ethereum mainnet, and I encourage everyone to look out for the client, which is our recent attempt to build a production-grade version of the system. I encourage everyone who's interested in the more detailed discussion of the tech and the motivation to read the Book of Swarm, which is a continually updated summary of working of the last years. But it gives you quite a bit of context, quite a bit of technical detail in the workings of the system. So I encourage everyone to look out for the big client.
We are
Try to connect to the Swarm network and try out our features and give us feedback